from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the site today of the FIBA 3x3 Alberta Basketball Men's Challenger. My name is Doug McLean. Please be joined by Patrick Erickson, and this morning it will be 3 Canadian-based teams looking to enter the main draw, which will go later this afternoon. And Patrick sandwiched in between that some pretty decent women's basketball as the FIBA 3x3 women's series. We saw the pool play yesterday. They will go to quarters, semis, and final. That will happen this afternoon. But first, let's focus on this qualifying draw. 3 Canadian-based teams trying to find a way into that main draw. The winner of this brief round robin this morning will enter the main draw. What to expect from some of these teams that have been formed relatively recently?
Oh, relatively recently, including, we'll talk about the individual players here in a second, but one that I didn't even know was added until last night, part of the logistics of an internet.
Hello from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Apologies for any technical difficulties. Doug McLean here with Patrick Erickson. We are all good to go. The FIBA 3x3 Alberta Basketball Men's Challenger qualifying round about to get going. And Patrick, 3 teams, some that have just formed, frankly, have added some components. So it's going to be an interesting morning to see which of these 3 teams can enter that main draw that starts later this afternoon.
Yeah, an excellent opportunity for one of these 3 teams to go play against one of the best few teams in the world. They're playing for a chance to go into a group that has an American team and a team from Austria. But yeah, great local flavor and a great opportunity for some exposure. I mean, we're seeing as they warm up, we have Maxwell Amoafo from Team Saskatoon, who we saw playing in a national championship here just a couple months ago. Abdullah Shitu is playing for Team Okotoks. That's a U of A player who is also playing in a national semifinal and won a bronze medal, and plenty of other local players as well. Chemistry, we've talked about that a lot yesterday, could be an issue, but it's just a great opportunity for some exposure for these players and an opportunity to play against some of the world's best, something that does not come around every day.
No, exactly, and that's what's going to make this morning interesting to see if we can go ahead and understand how well these teams are going to come together on short notice, because again, some of these teams have entered this tournament and pulled themselves into it fairly recently. So it is going to be an interesting day, and in between this qualifying round and pool play later on, we'll have the FIBA 3x3 Women's Series take place. The quarterfinals, semifinals, and final will go this afternoon. Again, my name is Doug McLean, joined by Patrick Erickson. Mark Majot will be on some of the calls over the course of the day as well. We are located in Ice District Plaza in the heart of downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And just to orient people, if you're tuning in, Edmonton, the capital city of the province of Alberta, Western Canada, about a 4-hour drive east of the Rocky Mountains. And in Ice District Plaza, which has recently opened, this part of a large downtown development that includes just to our left, Rogers Place, the home arena of the National Hockey League's Edmonton Oilers. And we were commenting on the broadcast yesterday that this square that we're in, this plaza that we're in, was the home of many watch parties during the recent National Hockey League playoffs. And it looked very orange in here during that stretch of time, a little less so today, but it's becoming already, and this being the first sporting event that's been hosted here at Ice District Plaza, that's what they wanted this to be, is a place to gather, a place for events, a place for sport, and we're seeing it here already this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great central location. Nice side effect is these tall buildings knock down some of that wind that we talked about yesterday, make shooting a little bit easier. But yeah, it's a free event. It's downtown. You can walk, come and go as you please. Go grab a bite to eat or get out of the heat for a little bit. But yeah, this is fantastic event. Our first day, which was a half day, especially compared to today's marathon. Great crowds are showing up, and hopefully and that will continue today as we look forward to an exciting day of action starting right here with the first qualifying event with Okotoks and Saskatoon.
So Okotoks, a suburb of Calgary, 3 hours to the south of where we are here right now. And
number 3, Evan Ostertag.
As we get the rosters coming in here.
Number 4, Chan Desmond.
Just clarifying some of the numbers.
Saskatoon wearing the dark uniforms. Okotoks wearing the white. 3 men's qualifiers.
Yeah, definitely a learning game with the uniforms here. As these teams thrown together last second, doesn't get a chance like the other teams to throw their names on the jersey as well. So we're going to rely on some memory from some 5-on-5, and we'll figure out some of these players as we go. Again, numbers are kind of arbitrary almost in 3v3. Doesn't confine to the FIBA numbering rule necessarily either, but we'll get these players sorted.
We will make it work to the best of our abilities here. Again, as Patrick mentioned, some of these teams coming together pretty last minute and coming to Edmonton pretty last minute to be part of this. Chan Desmond, we do know him. We've seen him play with the Saskatchewan Huskies. Gets it to Evan Ostertag, who gets the scoring underway for Saskatoon. First team to 21, or the leader after 10 minutes of play. And these players would have grown up playing 3-on-3. I mean, such a big part of development. But in terms of playing 3x3 at this level, that's a whole other story than what you and I would have been doing out in the playgrounds when we were younger.
Yeah, this isn't the take 5 dribbles and do a step back. Maybe if the shot clock's expiring now. This is a much, much higher level. But it kind of gets to it. It's kind of getting you back to the roots of basketball and how you start playing. Almost no one starts playing 5-on-5 in a closed gym. This is the birthplace of basketball is in this environment, but now they've elevated it to an international level.
No, and I'm a good example of that. My first competitive basketball event was a 3-on-3 event, I think when I was in grade 7. So there you go. I hadn't even played a true 5-on-5 game. So it is an element that's always been part of developing players, but now that's becoming, obviously, especially with the Olympics last year and the growth of what FIBA has done from the 3x3 level, it's becoming a world-recognized sport and following a path similar to what beach volleyball has done over the course of the last 30 years.
Yeah, it's these sports that are trying to find those new niches. You mentioned beach volleyball. We're starting to see soccer head to the beaches and whatnot. So, and it's just as an entertaining as a spectacle, and it gives you just a different perspective of the game. Obviously, the style is completely different, but the entertainment value is equal, if not higher in some cases.
Kenneth Johnson with that bucket for Okotoks. The 2 knocked down by Chan Desmond.
Some good early offense here.
Here is Johnson. He's from Philadelphia, the all-time leading scorer at Grand Prairie Regional College, which is about 4 hours north of us here in Edmonton. Does have some experience at the 3x3 level. He, along with Asamoah and Gray, recently won the 2022 Alberta Basketball 3x3 Championship in June. Here is Shitu for Okotoks. That bucket won't go. And Asamoah pulls it out. That jumper will not drop. Desmond. Quick look at a 2, and Chan Desmond builds the lead up 6-1 now for Saskatoon over Okotoks.
Yeah, good early start. And Okotoks, to think of all these teams, is the one that came together the last second. Abdullah Shitu was a very last-minute add to the roster. So, again, as we saw, even with teams that are just coming back together, chemistry is huge in 3-on-3. So which of these 3 teams can develop the best chemistry could easily be the one that goes on to the main draw.
Yeah, Isaac Gray with that, too. And, yeah, I mean, the rosters that you and I had last night, 4 players on it. The only 3 players here today for these teams. And Abdullah Shitu is on the roster for Okotoks, not playing here right now. So we'll see how that comes about over the course of the morning. Foul there on Eddie Asamoah. Asamoah played at the University of Bridgeport in Division II in NCAA. If I'm not mistaken, that's the school that Manute Bol played at.
I believe you were correct on that. Yes, that is where he started at, yes.
Not sure why I remember random stuff like that, but hey, there you go.
Well, if we're going to get into NCAA, we can be here all day.
Yeah, well, I know. Having had good conversations with you already, I've learned a ton on top of the stuff that you've forgotten more than I know, I think, on that topic. Although Manute Bol would have been an interesting 3x3 player, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd stop that height down low. You just pretty much stay outside the key until you get the ball.
Well, and then he added that long range game to his arsenal as his career went on.
And that's honestly 3-on-3 in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
You cannot be a one-dimensional player, and that's starting to sneak into 5-on-5, but in 3-on-3 especially with how important switches are and matchups. If you're a big like Lauren Cox and Greinacher from Germany showed in the women's side yesterday, having that long-range shot makes it so much more difficult to defend you.
Yeah, that whole era of positionless basketball that we've more than moved into, I think we're living in right now. And you're right, at 3x3, it's just impossible to not be able to shoot. Although you do see, it's interesting, you do see more, I won't call it true back to the basket post play, but you see a little bit more of that in 3x3 at times than you might in the 5-on-5 game.
Yeah, with the short shot clock, sometimes the easiest way is just throw it down, throw it up, and if you miss, hopefully you grab the rebound.
That's right.
I mean, and we saw that with a lot of these desperate heaves as Okotoks continues to do well. 10-4 Saskatoon, correction, that was Saskatoon.
Chan Deciman, we don't have running totals, but he's been the offensive star so far for Team Saskatoon. Native of Regina. So we have the media timeout. Native of Regina. Played, as mentioned last year, with the Saskatchewan Huskies, who got to the national final right here in Edmonton as they fell to the Carleton Ravens. Has also played a little bit professionally in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, has Chan Deciman.
Yeah, and that's another great exposure. We've seen some of the local University of Alberta players and whatnot make it there. And the Canadian basketball, it seems, is on the up and up with the CEBL coming in. And I know you're familiar with your work with the Stingers. But, yeah, it just seems like, and this is another avenue to grow at Canadian basketball. I mean, it used to be they're probably not going to qualify for an Olympics at any event, and now they are starting to come up again. And look at all these Canadians that are entering the NBA and the high college ranks. Both in Canada and the U.S. and U Sports, you're starting to get Americans coming up here to play.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
No, well, exactly. And it's, I mean, I've lived in this city 90% of my life, and it's just incredible to see in this city alone, let alone across the country, how much basketball has grown. And having an event like this is certainly a good example of the growth in the game. And right now, Saskatoon trying to grow their lead. 6:13 to go. They're up 11-4 as they have been the team that has found a little bit more rhythm here in the early part. Isaac Gray plays at Ambrose University, which is in Calgary, ACAC. He just completed his fourth year, 22.4 points a game, was an ACAC Men's South second team All-Star last season.
Real nice take there by Ostertag, who's had a couple of baskets as well. And yet another Husky from Saskatoon. You would expect that they're tapping into a pretty good basketball program down there. It barely snuck into the national tournament on a buzzer beater that sent them to overtime, and then they ended up going all the way to the final to lose to the perennial powerhouse Carleton Ravens. But that's a good experience, and carrying that over here early on with a 12-4 lead.
Yeah, that Saskatchewan Huskies team were trailing, trying to earn in the bronze medal Canada West game, trying to earn a berth to get to nationals. And a series of events, a turnover late by Regina, opened the door for Saskatchewan to get through, and they took full advantage, getting all the way, as mentioned, to the national final. Here's Gray, kicks it out. Asamoah for two. That one off the backboard and out.
Ooh. Asamoah reaches in. I don't think he needed to do that. He has about 4 inches plus a much larger wingspan, and he just reached in, just go straight up.
He too has some professional experience playing with Moncton in the National Basketball League, which is, we've talked about the Canadian Elite Basketball League. That's the summer Canadian Professional League that's recently started in the since 2019. And then you've got the National Basketball League. That's the fall and winter league that's played largely out in Eastern Canada, but has been a thriving entity for a little over a decade. Conversation out here as Johnson has his glasses knocked off and thought he got fouled.
And we did see a lot of that yesterday. Players trying to adapt to I think we just got a technical foul that's led to this free throw right here, definitely, since no one's on the block for rebounding. But yeah, we saw a lot of, let's just call it heated discussion, as 3-on-3 a far more physical game, and players trying to adjust to that. However, when your glasses are knocked on the floor, you might have a case.
Yeah, I mean, although I will say we probably saw more, trickier and more physical plays yesterday that didn't result in fouls, and even that one on Johnson there. But Johnson's got to be careful here. He's the one that got that technical. His teammates were trying to corral him, and right there as he, let's say, less than gingerly handed the ball back to the official.
Yeah, solid chest pass from about 2 feet away.
Yeah, he's got to watch it here, especially, I mean, look, the officials recognize they only got 3 players. I mean, they're not going to kick, I don't think, barring something really crazy. We're not kicking anybody out, but technical foul already on Johnson. They trail 14-4.
Yeah, a little bit of frustration probably sneaking in there with that as well.
Here is Gray. That short corner jumper won't go. Deciman now pulls up for 2. Shot won't drop. Johnson with the board. Gray, nice look to Asamoah, but a huge challenge by Shitu.
Outstanding block there. Looked like we were going to get our first dunk of the tournament, and Shitu says no.
Not on his watch. Taking a look at the court, some of the sun just peeking through some of the office towers here downtown. It'll be moving its way behind those towers momentarily, and then we'll have a little bit of shade until the afternoon when the sun will come back. We're expecting some possible showers this afternoon, hoping they'll stay away as we move into the women's playoff round. But it was a hot one yesterday down here for the women trying to compete mid-afternoon into the early evening. It was warm.
Yeah, and you don't get much relief until late in the evening. Those last couple games, not so bad as the sun kind of ducked behind these skyscrapers we got here. But until that point, right in your face, hard to see sometimes from certain parts of the court. Almost wonder if you defend the court depending on where the sun is. But, yeah, the weather in any outdoor event is going to be a factor, especially for most of these guys. I mean, we talked about starting outside, but most of these guys play most of their careers indoor now.
Yeah. Great spin move there by Shitu for Saskatoon to build their lead up to 15-4. Now 15-5. Okotoks in the penalty, so every foul here on in from them will put Saskatoon on the line for a pair of free throws.
Great move there by Deciman with a nice up and under, gets him back up. And
Ostertag steps out with Eddie Asamoah on him. Ostertag tries to step under Asamoah, now steps back. That jumper falls a little short, but he gets his own rebound. Good hustle there by Ostertag, and a former Saskatchewan Husky. And Deciman knocks down the deuce, getting Saskatoon even closer to a win here in their opening qualifying round game. Extra pass, Ostertag, Deciman short on that 2.
You like the ball movement, though.
Absolutely.
Unselfish. 2 players had at least a half shot, and they passed it until they got the better one. And I mean, it's difficult because we haven't seen either of these teams play anyone else, but Saskatoon looks pretty in sync early on.
Well, and right now they're without 2 players we thought would be playing on this team, Saskatoon. Fisayo Moibi, who plays for the Saskatchewan Huskies. As we have the second media timeout, we'll take a look at some of the highlights. There's that block by Shitu on Asamoah. But Fisayo Moibi from Edmonton plays for the University of Saskatchewan. He was listed on the roster. He's not here today. And Maxwell Amofo, who we were interested to see because he, again, maybe lacks the shooting ability from deeper range, but certainly a huge body that we saw cause all kinds of havoc in the Canada West playoffs and at the U Sports Final 8. I mean, he is a big body that can bang, and he would be an interesting player to watch, I think. But he, again, listed on the roster, but not playing here this morning.
Yeah, you wonder as these teams will all play 2 games each, and then the winner goes on to the main draw. Maybe we'll see.
Possibly,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe there's conflict, or maybe the plan was play. I don't know, but maybe we'll see him in another game, or maybe they'll be playing with 3 players and at an even bigger disadvantage with no subs.
And Johnson, who's been the offensive spark for Okotoks, gets it to 18-8. And again, these teams coming in late to this tournament, a couple teams that were entered unfortunately had to bow out. Overseas international teams that had to bow out, so that resulted in this adjustment, getting some of the more local teams in. But as we've been saying, just trying to get those rosters together has been maybe a little bit tricky, understandably so, for some of these teams. But nonetheless, here is Johnson, that little step in 2, and Deciman for 2 puts Team Saskatoon a point away from a win.
And that bodes well. That's what you need, is dribble straight out, take that open shot. If they don't cover you, that's 3-on-3 in a nutshell right there. And again, perspective needed, but Saskatoon, very, very impressive in game 1. And barring something unprecedented, they'll go 1-0. And all they would need is a win over Edmonton to advance to that main draw.
Yeah, and I know when I looked at the rosters and saw this Team Saskatoon, there's going to be chemistry built in right there. Now, this roster is not what we thought, and there is the win. Deciman, who was outstanding here in this opener, puts it away for Team Saskatoon as they win their opener 22-10 over Team Okotoks. So they put themselves in a pretty good spot in terms of trying to advance into that main draw later on this afternoon.
Yep, and they get the break. Okotoks is going to be the team that better, longer breaks than yesterday.
Yep.
As we are going to take shortly, we'll take a little bit of a break, but Okotoks has got to come right back and play Edmonton, whereas Saskatoon is the team that will get the break, and then they'll face a less fresh Edmonton team, so big advantage early for Saskatoon to try to advance to this main draw later this afternoon.
So that is where we are after the opening game of this qualifying round. Team Saskatoon knocks off Okotoks. Next up, as mentioned, it will be Team Edmonton taking on Team Okotoks. My name is Doug McLean. He's Patrick Erickson. We're going to pause momentarily, and we'll be back with game number 2 of the FIBA 3x3 Alberta Basketball Men's Challenger qualifying round.
pesos. I got pesos. Leaving the port, I go to resorts. Word. Live with Dominican women, I go to the source. I hop in the rental and know I don't care if I'm lost. Alright. I go out for dinner, I tell her keep pouring that sauce. Keep pouring that. If time is money, I wanna know what does it cost. I live and I learn, I never see things as a loss. Never. Tell her I got pesos for a back massage. I got pesos and she think it come from trapping hard. Pesos come from taking dollars down to Mexico. I'm converting all this money till they let me know. Blow that money like a candle on a birthday cake. I'm getting money, that's the words they hate. I'm counting USD, where's Frio? I'm about to catch a flight where I need pesos. Plenty pesos, lots of pesos. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. I'm counting USD, where's Frio? I'm about to catch a flight where I need pesos. Plenty pesos, lots of pesos. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. I lay on the beach, was stretching my feet. I'ma catch me a 10 and get me some sleep. She talking to me, she asked what I drink, and she speaking in Spanish. I don't talk that, but the pesos be speaking the language. I got pesos in the bag that got a money sign. All the swimsuits that she wear that got that bunny sign. I'm just chilling and she feeling how I live my life. I take no prisoners and I never take advice. You got locks and shake your head, throw that smoke up in the air. You can either get it poppin' or complain like isn't fair. Blow that money like a candle on a birthday cake. I'm getting money, that's the words they hate. I'm counting USD, where's Frio? I'm about to catch a flight where I need pesos. Plenty pesos, lots of pesos. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. I'm counting USD, where's Frio? I'm about to catch a flight where I need pesos. Plenty pesos, lots of pesos. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. Now give me pesos. Give me pesos. Give me pesos. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. I'm counting USD, where's Frio? It's cold. I'm about to catch a flight where I need pesos. It's cold. Plenty pesos. It's cold. Lots of pesos. It's cold. I brought a bag of dollars, now give me pesos. Ha!
Welcome back to Edmonton as we continue the qualifying section of our 3v3 men's tournament. Patrick Erickson alongside Doug McLean as we get set for Okotoks and Edmonton. Okotoks with a pretty quick turnaround in what was a rough 22-10 loss to Saskatoon in game number 1. Edmonton looking for a win so they can head into the final game of our qualifiers with a chance. Should Okotoks beat Edmonton, then that's a guarantee. Saskatoon's already – actually, no, we could have chaos if everybody beats each other. But Okotoks struggled in that first game. They did not find much offensive rhythm, and a little bit of frustration crept in near the end of that game with an unfortunate technical foul. What does Okotoks need to do to rebound, I guess?
Well, I think settle down. And I mean, the point was brought up on the broadcast yesterday that you just really can't get down in 3x3. I mean, you can, if you're down 4 or 5 points, it's so tough to get yourself back in, and that's what happened to Okotoks. Chan Deciman for Saskatoon was outstanding early, knocked down some shots, and that lead built, I think it was 6-1 pretty early. It's just so difficult to get back in games like that, and so Okotoks has to have a much better start to this one. But hey, they're going to be warm. Team Edmonton hasn't played yet, obviously, here on this court, other than warming up here a little bit. So you wonder if that plays a factor. The sun's now gone in behind the Stantec Tower, which is just right in front of us where Patrick and I are sitting. So I think for Okotoks, get a better start. You do that, you'll put yourself in a much better spot.
Yeah, it can't honestly go much worse than it did in game number 1. However, they're going to be on short rest, and they're going up against the only of these 3 qualifying teams that's come with the full 4 players, so they have a substitute, whereas Okotoks does not. So freshness, both in terms of they haven't played yet and they have an extra player. At least that bodes well for Edmonton as we're getting set for that again. 22-10 was the score. Okotoks falling to Saskatoon in our first qualifier of the morning. We're just getting started this qualifier, and then Edmonton will play Saskatoon a little bit later this morning, and then we get into the women's knockout draw in the afternoon, and then we get into the men's draw proper pool play once the women's championship has concluded. So a long day of basketball and a long day of fun basketball as we're starting to introduce the players here for Team Okotoks. We have Eddie Asamoah, number 1, Isaac Gray, number 2, and Kenneth Johnson, number 4. That is their 3 players. Again, they only have 3 players available thrown together last minute. Edmonton, who has some local flavor to this team for sure. Ryan Coleman, number 4, Lee Danderford, number 3, Denzel James, number 1, and Chris Mooney, number 2. And Doug, I know a lot of these names, especially for you being a local, these are familiar names.
Yeah, these guys all played together at MacEwan University, which is literally about an 8-minute walk from where we're sitting here right now. So these players familiar with each other. Again, as we've said throughout the weekend, 3x3 is a different animal. How you pull together as a unit to compete is different. But that continuity and the familiarity that this group, this Team Edmonton group will have, could bode well for them.
Yeah, and we saw some of that chemistry with Saskatoon. A lot of those guys have played at Saskatchewan or club or high school growing up, and they certainly looked like they had a decent amount of chemistry in game number 1. And they await Edmonton in the final game of our qualifiers. It will take place a little bit after the conclusion of this one. But we are set for Edmonton and Okotoks as we get underway. And immediately Okotoks trying to get that quick start with the drive, but back out. Here's Denzel James for Edmonton as he takes a step back too, and just like it started in the first game, they give up an early 2. But Denzel James is he's a prolific scorer, and that does translate pretty well to 3-on-3.
He does, and a nice defensive play initially there by James to deflect that shot by Gray. Gray got the board back and put it home.
As we get as going up with the shot was Ryan Coleman, and an inadvertent elbow catch is that'll catch
Kenneth Johnson.
Johnson, in the face.
Yeah, and Ryan Coleman sporting a pretty nasty shiner himself. And Coleman tries to apologize to Kenneth Johnson. I'm not sure he was quite ready for that one yet, but
he lost his glasses in game 1. He loses them here early in game 2, so rough start for Kenneth Johnson. As we got a foul called on Edmonton here. First team foul. Again, individual fouls do not matter in 3-on-3, and but once you hit 7 and above team fouls, it does lead to bonus free throws, as that long shot tossed up is no good, but a quick follow for Gray, and there's a 2, and Okotoks ties it up 3 apiece, early start.
And that's big because Johnson was the guy that was really providing a lot of the offense for Okotoks in their first game, and so getting a little bit more of a spark from the likes of Gray and Asamoah will help a lot.
Really nice shot there at the shot clock buzzer, hit by Lee Danderfer after. That's a little bit of a tough break for Okotoks, who had a couple of block shots and played some good defense. That ball goes down low, and here's Coleman. Nice shot fake and an easy reverse. And Edmonton's offense looks pretty fluid early.
Yeah, it really does. That's a good lob entry there to Coleman, and Coleman does a good job of resetting himself to get Gray up in the air.
And a nice dish by Johnson will find Asamoah for our first dunk of the tournament.
Yeah, and he got that. He knew the shot clock was winding down. You could see he didn't hammer that. He just made sure he got it out of his hands as quickly as he could.
They quickly give up a two-pointer to Danderfer, though. Edmonton leading 8-4 early on in this game, as a nice answer there by Asamoah on the drive. And good defense there by Isaac Gray forces a miss. And Okotoks trailing 8-5, but looking far better than they did in game number 1. This is much more competitive than our first qualifier, as that fadeaway rolls off the rim and an easy board for Ryan Coleman to clear. A long day of basketball. It'll stretch to about 10 o'clock by the time we're done with our final men's event tonight. So if you're a basketball junkie, I guess you have to switch over for the women's series to the other YouTube link, but don't go anywhere, because this is going to be a fun day of basketball. Edmonton leading 9-5 early here.
Yeah, and moments ago on that screen and roll, you saw that chemistry that Team Edmonton, these former McEwen Griffins have, and Denzel James with the bucket, and he'll head to the line.
First time we've seen him take a shot since that opening 2, but an easy drive there and a basket, and he'll get the free throw here. So a chance for 4 early points for Denzel James, who is one of the better high school scorers of all time in this area, before going on to McEwen, where he also averaged over 15 points for his career. A couple times he made the Canada West 3rd team. So certainly some really good local talent here in Denzel James. And after the free throw, the Edmonton leads 11-5. And a bunny missed off the rebound by Asamoah, and that leads to a quick shot for James, who was wide open. And James, a nice yeah, we do get the 3 seconds. I was wondering, you got 2 players camp passing it back and forth, Harlem Globetrotter style.
And James has a bit of a chuckle with Mooney after him, saying, yeah, just put that one up. Like,
I guess that's the Asamoah defensive
yeah, I was going to
effect.
say, it's the I don't want my shot to get blocked here effect. Nice pocket pass there from Asamoah.
Yeah, he's definitely had himself a much better game. I think he was finding his footing in that first game, but he's been pretty impressive to start this one. A couple baskets, some really good defense for Asamoah early on. Kenneth Johnson handles right of the circle. Now he goes right down the lane and scores easily over Ryan Coleman, his first bucket of this game, after he was pretty much the offense for Okotoks in game number 1. And an offensive foul. If we get a replay, the only question would be if his feet were in the circle. But yet again, Kenneth Johnson takes a beating to step in there, and he's a little slow to get up after that.
Yeah, and Mooney sort of tumbles over top of him. Both players appear to be okay as we have the media timeout, but Mooney kind of tumbled over top of Johnson, who had stood in there to take that charge. And there's an example, that lob entry back seal from Coleman.
Yeah, as you watch the highlights there, really nice dish, unselfish play. And another drive there, as we're seeing the Asamoah highlight reels right now. But as you see in these highlights, how quickly it can change with Denzel James just quickly getting that ball back and scoring. That's the difference. You could go 3 minutes and no baskets, and in 10 seconds, both teams could score 5 points each.
Now, we saw that a lot yesterday, where games, you'd be 6 minutes into the game and it'd be 10-9, 11-9 kind of thing. And next thing you know, you're nearing 20. You're thinking you're not going to get close to 20. It just feels like that slower pace, but then suddenly offenses pick up, and within a couple minutes, the game gets to 21.
And a step back 2 taken there and missed by Danderfer. And now a quick exit to Johnson, who misses the open 2. And Dandifer again picks up his dribble. Here comes Denzel James with the left-hand drive, and he takes a nice basket, and James looks very impressive offensively.
Yeah, and those long strides and long arms allows him to get under Asamoah for that layup.
Great shot by Isaac Gray. Ryan Coleman played pretty much perfect defense, and another basket, quick turnaround for Edmonton, 14-7.
That's that good transition and good recognition by James. Just kicks it out quickly to Dandifer, and they do it again here.
And here he is with the wide open two, just in and out. It was a good recognition, though. And now Isaac Gray will pull up for two and miss, and you can see some of that stagnation and frustration sneaking back into the Okotoks offense as Denzel James pulls up and fires long from two. Asamoah with the ball, clears out to Gray on the left wing, guarded by Coleman. He'll take it left hand. Nice drive, little hesitation, and he missed the bunny after a really nice play to get inside. Quick kick out, and Dandifer makes him pay with an easy two. Edmonton starting to pull away, 16-7.
And Lee Dandifer, who played 1 year at MacEwan, had played previously with the Augustana Vikings. In that 1 year with MacEwan, 14.3 points a game.
They're going to get Denzel James on a foul on the rebound as he's trying to box out the much longer Asamoah, who draws the foul. Just is the fourth foul on Edmonton, so got to be a little careful so they don't allow Okotoks back in through the bonus. And there's a fifth foul as a nice pass there, and Gray gets fouled and will go to the line for one. So there's flashes with this Okotoks team. It's consistency that I think is the issue with these guys right now, but you can see the individual talent.
Consistency is a good word, and you said it a moment ago as well. Just some of that frustration setting in, and maybe a few too many conversations with the officials after plays. And again, especially in a qualifying round like this, there's just not a lot of time. You can't ease yourself into the tournament and get yourself off what your team needs to do.
Nice dish by Johnson there, finds Asamoah for a bucket. As we hit the halfway mark time-wise, Edmonton up 16-9 and now 17-9 is Denzel James. I don't know if they've stopped him once on a drive.
He's been outstanding here in the early going, and the recognition as well, those quick kickouts.
Yeah, Dandifer's going to have that all day as a foul on the shot there on Gray will send James to the line for one. But I think that's like the fourth or fifth wide open kick out, too, that Dandifer's had, and he's hit two of them. So that's something that other teams might want to watch out for. Dandifer's no slouch from the two-point arc.
And it's also about recognition defensively. Okotoks has to recognize on a miss or a make, for that matter, you got to recognize quickly where to close out defensively, where you have to react to, and they have not done that overly well here in the two games that they've played.
James misses the free throw, and an easy two off the kick out by Gray. And so they give Edmonton a little bit of a taste of their own medicine here. Mooney's pass blocks, trying to get inside of Coleman. There's the re-entry pass. Coleman, and a big block by Asamoah. And it'll stay here. Asamoah asking for the deflection, but a great rotation and a block by Asamoah. And he has definitely been the most impressive player in this game for Okotoks, offensively and defensively, making his presence known. As a prayer thrown up and missed, and that definitely hit the rim, and they call shot. That hit backboard, but then rim. And Edmonton's pleading for the ball back because they got the offensive rebound, and we could see that from right here. That's an easy call, and somehow it's missed.
Yeah, I think the high official made that call. Yeah, I thought it hit backboard and then caught rim coming back down.
Johnson takes it left hand, and then a nice drive. He cannot finish. He's going to ask for a call with nothing coming as a pull-up two by Coleman is missed, but a nice tip out. And Mooney now with the right hand. And Denzel James will pull up from the right wing for two and miss long as the shot's starting to not fall, and that's a foul on Coleman. That's Edmonton's sixth. That's bonus time the rest of the way for Okotoks, who is sneakily within five. And with that, we saw how big those free throws yesterday can be, especially you get to that double bonus when you get a free throw and possession back. This is not a place Edmonton wants to be with this lead late in the game.
No, exactly. I mean, the good thing if you're Edmonton, you're only 4 points away from a win, so you feel good about that. And if you're Okotoks, you're saying, hey, we're still in it, like you were saying, Patrick, just down by 5. But for Okotoks, they need some stops. They cannot, obviously only 4 points away from a Edmonton win. They can't afford to give up a whole lot here right now, even with that bonus. potentially playing a factor. They got to make sure they get some stops defensively.
Yeah, they got to get that closeout because Danderfer, even though they haven't gone to him a time or two lately, he's still been open on that kick out, especially when it's Kenneth Johnson's the one who drove in. They recognize it right away that somebody's going to be open as once again Johnson drives in, and a nice little fake gives him an easy layup, and Okotoks within 4. Mooney drives right hand and a nice little feed down low, a nice shot fake, and Coleman restores order for Edmonton as they go back up 5, 18-13 is Gray. Nice behind the back pass, finds Johnson, finds his favorite left hand on the drive. And on the left wing, he'll jack up a 2 that's long as the shot clock expires. And right back out, here's Danderfer, doesn't opt to shoot, and a good foul on the floor there by Johnson because he had no chance to stop Ryan Coleman on the layup.
And Coleman, I mean, a lot of those entries into Coleman, he's been deep, almost below the backboard, and has had to readjust his feet to go back up and score. So not easy buckets in tight for Coleman here in this game so far.
And then and part of that might be trying to pass over Asamoah's very long arms. James' long 2 is too long. As a little bit of a cold streak now for Edmonton after they started very fast, and they have slowed down, especially from the outside. Asamoah works left, now spins right. Nice fadeaway as the shot clock expires, and an air ball. I don't think he got the shot off in time anyways.
Yeah, that shot clock, it's amazing how quickly it sneaks up on you. I mean, maybe it's just the mentality of being so used to 24 seconds, but wow, it feels like the ball barely comes in play and that shot clock's going off. So I can imagine if you're on the floor trying to get yourself a good look, you've got to be really disciplined about how you do that in your offensive execution.
Yeah, 24. Some of these guys, if they come from the NCAA, they're playing with 30 or 35-second shot clock. That's a world of a difference in 10 seconds. That's not even a shot clock reset on a kick ball in the NBA. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's definitely sneaks up, and we talked about it yesterday. Sometimes if you look at the shooting percentages, they might seem a little low, but half the time that's just because there's 1 second left and you got to throw something up and hope you get your prayer answered or get a rebound as that ball is out and will stay with Edmonton, who's going to have a quick turnaround and will face Saskatoon in our final qualifier shortly after the conclusion of this game. Denzel James picks up his dribble and is trapped in a steal for Johnson on the right wing. Much better from Okotoks in the last few minutes as a nice dish by Johnson, and the layup is good by Asamoah, and the foul. Don't go anywhere. Okotoks creeping back into this, and they're making it a game late.
Yeah, and that's a great pass into Asamoah, and if you're Danderfer there, either you foul him hard, make sure that shot doesn't get off, or you just let him go. That in between, you cannot allow a guy to get to the line in that kind of situation.
Free throw is almost an air ball, and he'll get one. Not sure why they're giving 2 free throws because the shot was good. I know we're in the bonus.
Yeah,
we still got confusion with the players too.
Yeah.
So, but Edmonton crucially is in the defensively is in the bonus. Every Edmonton foul now defensively will send Okotoks to the line for 1. So way back in for Okotoks as they trail by just 3 with 2.5 to go. Denzel James, nice feed there, and Coleman another shot fake, and that shot is good in the foul. So Coleman returns the favor, and he'll head to the line with a chance to put Edmonton within a point of ending this game.
The quickness and the footwork of Coleman has been really impressive here in this game, and for Team Okotoks, they just haven't really found a great answer for him in terms of being able to get inside and limit those opportunities, even with the likes of Asamoah, as Asamoah.
And that might be a difference of rotation there. Again, Edmonton, the only of the 3 qualifiers that showed up with a full squad of 4. The other 2 have no subs. And perhaps Asamoah's just getting worn down there. There's a couple of players with size for Edmonton as Johnson got away with the push there, and the spin is no good. And the ball is tipped out, and that will turn on over to Edmonton, who has a chance to win this game with any bucket on this possession.
And just back to that, I think Asamoah was just getting some clarity because I heard him say to the one official after, he said, "Oh, my apology, my misunderstanding." So there's some just maybe, again, a rules clarity issue that I think he was trying to understand.
Denzel James, ball on the right wing, takes it in. Layup is good, and just like it started, it ends with the Denzel James layup. And Edmonton moves to 1-0 in the qualifiers, a better effort by Okotoks, but they fall and will finish this tournament 0-2. They do not advance to play Edmonton, though. Pretty impressive, and now they get a chance for what is essentially a championship playing game against Saskatoon.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with, certainly with this Edmonton team, that continuity. You saw it. I mean, they know where to go. They know each other. They know tendencies of each other, and that just makes such a huge difference. And the Saskatoon team, there's a little bit of that, less than we thought we might see, because the roster maybe not as complete in the sense of the bodies we thought were going to be here. But, hey, Saskatoon looked pretty impressive in their opener, too, so it should be a good final matchup in this qualifying round.
Yeah, it should be a great matchup between those two. Again, the winner of that game will now officially move on to the main pool, and we'll get a play against an American and an Austrian team in pool play. That's later this afternoon. We're going to take a little bit of a break right now. 11:05 is our scheduled start time for Edmonton versus Saskatoon. We'll be on the air shortly before then as we wrap up this morning's qualifying action. Once again, Edmonton 21-15 winners over Okotoks. They move to 1-0. Okotoks officially eliminated. We'll be back here shortly. He's Doug McLean. I'm Patrick Erickson. We'll see you here at 11:05 for Edmonton versus Saskatoon here on the FIBA 3x3 in Edmonton.
Tell me where you at in your location. We got drinks and we killing by the cases. I don't remember names, only know the faces. These girls party, getting wasted. Now I got my hands up. Make a lot of money, get the bag. Dad gone and I had to be the man. Growing up to be a boss was the plan. Now I got exotic women getting tans. We just wanna look good at the party. We just wanna be fancy. 4 a.m. we don't ever sleep. Yeah, cause we just wanna keep dancing. We the life of the party. Don't know if I'ma make it home tonight, but babe, don't leave me alone tonight. Liquor on the floor, you know how I go. I love it when we go hard. We the life of the party. The party, yeah. The party, party. We the life of the party. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, the party. Yeah. We the life of the party. The party, yeah. The party, the party. We the life of the party. Ooh, yeah, the party. The party. We the life of the party. Don't know if I'ma make it home, yeah. Just don't leave me alone, yeah. Shake it, drop it, move it, ooh, yeah. Don't know if I'ma make it home, yeah. Just don't leave me alone, yeah. Shake it, drop it, move it. We the life of the party, yeah. The party, we the life of the party, yeah. Ooh, yeah, the party, yeah. We the life of the party, yeah. The party, we the life of the party. Ooh, yeah, the party, we the life of the party. Every day we lit, oh yeah. Live it up, live it to the fullest, oh yeah. Travel all around and hit every single club. Everywhere we go, everybody show us love, yeah. Every day turned up, oh yeah. Check on the accounts and we always ballin'. Oh, yeah, we always ballin'. We don't believe in love, so we never fallin'. Every day we live with a smile. We might go to New York, it's been a while. We might fly to LA, oh wow. Airlines and we racking up the miles. Yeah, every day we ball, that's for sure. Get lit, cause that's all that we know. Turn up is all that we wanna do. Ride in the sunset, about to cash a new check, yeah. Always looking for a good time. A little drink, might get a little wine. Hit the mall every day to kill time. Cause we ball non-stop, take a picture, yeah, yeah, yeah. Every day we lit, oh yeah. Live it up, live it to the fullest, oh yeah. Travel all around and hit every single club. Everywhere we go, everybody show us love, yeah. Every day turned up, oh yeah. Check on the accounts and we always ballin'. Oh, yeah, we always ballin'. We don't believe in love, so we never fallin'. See, I be with my baby every day. Running through the checks, spending all the cake. Broke boy, man, I know you can't relate. Keep a couple G's around, I ain't gotta get my hands dirty. Baby, always shopping on Melrose. Look, what you gon' do with all these damn clothes? Do it big every day, cause we got it. I don't never need no change in my wallet. Yeah, always looking for a good time. A little drink, might get a little wine. Hit the mall every day to kill time. Cause we ball non-stop, take a picture, yeah, yeah, yeah. Every day we lit, oh yeah. Live it up, live it to the fullest, oh yeah. Travel all around and hit every single club. Everywhere we go, everybody show us love, yeah. Every day turned up, oh yeah. Check on the accounts and we always ballin'. Oh, yeah, we always ballin'. We don't believe in love, so we never fallin'. Every day we lit, oh yeah. Live it up, live it to the fullest, oh yeah. Travel all around and hit every single club. Everywhere we go, everybody show us love, yeah. Every day turned up, oh yeah. Check on the accounts and we always ballin'. Oh, yeah, we always ballin'. We don't believe in love, so we never fallin'. Yeah, we always ball. Yeah, big time. Every day we lit, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
They talking about me cause they never been relevant. Haters will copy, but I'm never done stunting tricks. Watch when I walk into a room, it gets lit. And since we talking about my girl, I drop a couple of hits. My daddy Laramie, granny my grandma Reek. Go mix that west side with that south to get that cocky heat. I'm country fat that like my money blue and loud strong. Do not care what you do, where you been or who you know. I go for mine, don't waste no time, and I ain't never stopping. I got moves to make and I'm bad. I know I know it. I work hard and show it. I sell hard, got hard bars, got bad girls sipping my way. Imperial about the acre, don't give a damn about the haters. I stay fly and famous, so serious on my paper. I look good in that grind, and I grind. Come for mine, why you trying, I look good, and I grind, come for mine, why you trying, Where my ladies who be stacking that paper, where my ladies who be stacking that paper, spit your game, show you got drive in that flavor, get it girl, don't lose all of your Spit your game and show you dropping your flavor. Get it, girl, don't you lose all your paper. Where my ladies who be stacking that paper? Where my ladies who be stacking that paper? Spit your game or you got dropping your flavor. Get it, girl, don't lose all of your favor. No.
I know you're a superstar, a supernova shining, you can see from super far. And they ain't ready, know you're about to hit the throttle on them. Won't see it coming, you gon' come through like a supercar. Tell me what it feel like to have no fear at all and do it here in real life. Real time right now, all day long. I know it's special and I know you know it feels right.
You're the reason it will last forever. You're the star that's staring back up in the mirror. Cause it's special when you stand out from the rest. When you know that you're the best.
I know you're unstoppable. I know you woke up feeling nothing is impossible. You got the key, I know you know the door's unlockable. Ain't nothing standing in your way, there ain't no obstacle. I know you're the chosen one. Numbers don't matter when you know that you're the only one. Time don't matter, you can do it all day long. I know you about to show the world just where you coming from.
On the stage, got the whole place rocking. It's popping, no stopping. Standing on the stage, got the whole place watching. Vacation, hotel hopping. I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal. Standing on the stage, got the whole place rocking. I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal. Worldwide on the scene, I'm a big deal. Everybody know me, I'm a big deal. Main event everywhere, I'm a big deal. And I'm big still, cause I'm a big deal. Worldwide on the scene, I'm a big deal. Everybody know me, I'm a big deal. Main event everywhere, I'm a big deal. Do that there, how you do it, do it, do it, do it, do that there. How you do it, do it, do it, do it, do that there.
Yo, man, pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. Don't matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at my head though. Fuck sexual innuendos. At the door like I'm coming for the rent. No, man's not running like I've got no legs. No, no me, I'll bring it to you first. Not a coroner, but I bring it to your hearse. Man, I'm on full, man, I put you in the dirt. Man, plotting on the best and I bring it to your worst. Always had a comeback, no banter. I'm known as a serial ranter. Means I don't hold back, nothing, put hands up. My emotions might lead me to snap up, wrap up something, no gift, not Santa. Do you know where you're from, don't matter. Anyone can be food, no platter. I be wet man, let the thing splatter.
Try no man, don't play that, don't play that. Been like that since way back, since way back. Man roll around and spray that, and spray that. Man miss you, they spray that, they spray that.
Yo, man pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. Don't matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming, don't put it out. Get a pun, but I mean no tricking out. Meaning if it's on, then it's on, stay looking out. On-site gas, so it's fire, no cooking out. Run, you insane, no bolting. Book for the wall, you're coping. You're a pump, only right, you're soaking. Not off the loud, bro, brother ain't smoking. Don't know what you're chat for. Why you front, have you running for the back door? Man took offense, why you thinking there's a tap for? Man, I leave more holes in you than a crack hole, too raw. That's how the beef come. Know it well, and that's how the beef done. There's no rules, though, that's how the street run. Man, I get light, see sun, let the week done.
Try no man, don't play that, don't play that. Been like that since way back, since way back. Man roll around and spray that, and spray that. Man miss you, they spray that, they spray that. Try no man, don't play that, don't play that. Been like that since way back, since way back. Man roll around and spray that, and spray that. Man miss you, they spray that, they spray that.
Yo, man pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man pull up, ain't talking a reload. Bust doors, no need for a key though. Man, I take aim, but this ain't a free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Bustin' if you're coming at me though. Man, I take aim, no free throw. No matter bustin' if you're coming at me though.
There's only one, ain't no replacement. It's just so incredible. incredible. Incredible.
Welcome back to downtown Edmonton at Ice District Plaza. Doug McLean along with Patrick Erickson as we get set for the third and final game in the FIBA 3x3 Alberta Basketball Men's Challenger qualifying round, as Team Edmonton will take on Team Saskatoon, the winner earning themselves a berth into the main draw, which starts later this afternoon. Two games we've seen so far: Saskatoon knocking off Okotoks in the opener, and then Edmonton defeating Okotoks in the most recent game, setting up this penultimate finish in the qualifying round. Later this afternoon, early afternoon I should say, here Mountain Time, it will be the FIBA 3x3 Women's Series knockout stages, quarterfinals, semis, and finals, so getting excited for that. And Patrick, we've seen two teams here in the qualifying round this morning with some obvious signs of chemistry. How does that, you think, play out into this final game that will send one of these teams into that main draw?
I mean, whichever team has that chemistry, I think we'll see. It was clear, I mean, Okotoks had so many roster changes that there's clearly not a lot of chemistry there. But yeah, whichever team can find that flow. Both teams scored and went up on Okotoks early, and I mean, we saw Saskatoon just blew them out of the water. Okotoks was more competitive against Edmonton. Yeah, whichever team has the chemistry. However, this is the interesting one here. Edmonton, the only of these qualifiers with 4 players, but Saskatoon has had the longer break. So which of those? I mean, maybe it's a wash. Who knows? But I mean, if the sun peeks back out from behind these clouds, maybe that hurts the shorter-handed Saskatoon team a little more than Edmonton, who at least can take a break now and then. And then the winner of that, well, they'll get a pretty solid break, but then they get to go face a couple of very good teams from Vienna and the U.S. That's the group that the winner of this game will get drawn into the main draw. But even, you know, at that point, it's still just good to see these local players, and as we watch Denzel James, one of the better Edmonton players, take his warm-up free throws right now, just to see these players that you especially have watched from high school on up, college on up, and the winner of this game is going to go get a play against some players that are in the top 20 in the world.
Yeah, I think it's what makes these events so unique. on the 3x3 side in the sense that, yeah, you've got some of the top teams in the world, and we'll talk about them as we move into later this afternoon. And same thing on the women's side, which we saw those teams yesterday. But I think the fact that you have that local flavor and you have teams that can start to discover what 3x3 could mean for them and recognize that, hey, there might be an opportunity here to focus a little bit more on this side of the sport and see where that can take them. And we've seen a previous iteration of Team Edmonton have a lot of success internationally, led by Steve Sir, among others. Jordan Baker played on that team for quite a while. Jordan Jensen-White, who's now competing for Canada in 3x3 at the Commonwealth Games with another Edmonton connection, Adam Page of the University of Alberta Golden Bears, but that's a side thing. But I think it's just such an interesting side of the sport in terms of how people get into it, coming typically, of course, from the 5-on-5 game, and just recognizing that this provides them an opportunity to experience something different in their careers from a basketball perspective.
Yeah, perhaps you meet someone here that an opportunity opens up, and all these guys will forever have their names and whatever stats come out of this tournament archived on FIBA forever. And then that's out there as we watch these player profiles get created as the players come in, but they're there now. So, as they finish up their college careers or look to move on to a different pro team, just getting your name out there certainly helps. And some of these players, as we'll see later on, are still in college or playing pro, and this is a way to stay in shape or keep sharp during the summer. Of course, if your club grants you permission, because there is the injury risk as well. Yes. But fortunately, we've only seen one kind of minor injury, I think, to Verioge from Romania's women's team yesterday. Knock on wood that stays the same. But, yeah, just to be able to get out here and play against these guys and learn something about your game that you didn't know. I mean, we've seen a 42-year-old woman be the best player on her team, and we've seen a 22-year-old also. So like we talked about, it's a lot about chemistry. It's a lot about how long the teams play together, and sometimes if the shots are falling.
Yep. Yeah, there's just so many nuances to the game, as there are in the 5-on-5 game too, but just some really interesting nuances in the 3x3 game that are fun to keep track of as we take a look at Team Saskatoon. That is Fareed Shitu, a late addition to this Team Saskatoon roster. Evan Ostertag wearing number 3, and Chan Deciman, who is still a member of the Saskatchewan Huskies. So it will be an interesting matchup. First team to 21 or the team leading after 10 points will earn themselves a spot in the main draw. And these players, all of them have some level of 3x3 experience. Certainly some of the members of Team Edmonton did compete, calling themselves Team Grand Prairie at the time, competing in the FIBA 3x3 Edmonton Challenger a few years back. So there's a little bit of experience at this level, but I think, as you alluded to earlier, with the type of talent and team skill we're going to see from the men later, it'll be a really good jump for whoever comes out a winner here this morning in terms of the team that they'll face later today.
And I think we'll see, knowing what's at stake, a very competitive game. As we're already, as you can see, Shitu and James right there on the right elbow. There's some friendly shoving in there, but they're already vying for position, and we haven't even started this game. You know, both of these teams want to advance to the main draw, and hopefully the competitiveness reflects. Shitu right away, easy bucket.
Yeah, clear out for him and just right to the hole. And here is Denzel James, was great in that win over Okotoks. And Deciman, he was equally great in their win over Okotoks, got them off to a great start early, and does it again here with that bucket up against Ryan Coleman.
A really nice drive there, and we did see Edmonton at times lose their offense a little bit, and a lot of block by Shitu early on there. So Edmonton needs to find a more consistent offensive approach, I think, as they get the offensive rebound.
Danderfer had some success in that win on the clearouts. And that time, James overthrows Coleman, who was a big force down low in that win over Okotoks.
Yes, he was. He's their biggest body. But you mentioned it in the first game. Some of those entry passes weren't the greatest. They put him under the hoop. That one just completely missed him. So they got to work on that entry pass if they want to use that part of the game. Especially, we saw Asamoah do a pretty good job defending inside, but I think Shitu might even be on another level early on, as Now Mooney into the game, finds Coleman in a nice shot fake, and he has a very nice shot fake. I'm not
He
sure
really
at this point why they bite on it, because he does it every time, but it is a good one.
Yeah, he's been quite impressive here as he gathers that rebound, gets it out to Mooney. Mooney, the native of Ottawa, who did play a year at McEwen, has his shot blocked. Now James up top, dribbles in against Deciman, kicks it out. Mooney thought about the two, now gets it to James. That one will not go. And foul on Saskatoon, so it will remain Edmonton ball. Edmonton wearing the white, Saskatoon in the blue.
It'll be interesting to see. Saskatoon's the first team that I've seen employ consistent double teams, which is a somewhat rarity as a big two there in this 3-on-3. You risk a lot if that double team doesn't come at the right time.
Yeah, it's a gamble because of the space on the floor, your ability, and if you've got good court awareness, you're going to be able to find those open players pretty easily. So yeah, we'll see if they maintain that strategy as Danifer misses the two. Shitu with the board, and he'll dribble it out himself.
Danifer's shot after he hit his first, I believe, two in the first game. I don't think he's hit one since, so he needs to find his range as we get a foul off the ball. And it will go over to Saskatoon. Early lead for Edmonton, 3-2.
Doug McLean along with Patrick Erickson. Ice District Plaza in the heart of downtown Edmonton. This FIBA 3x3 men's qualifier curl there from Ostertag, guarded closely by Mooney. Shot doesn't go. Huge rebound by Shitu. Puts it up, and a foul by Mooney.
Terrific there, and Shitu, for the guy who was the last minute addition to this Saskatoon team, wasn't even on the FIBA page last night. He has been incredibly impactful. Denzel James, a wide open corner too, is good.
And Freed Shitu, member of the UNBC Timberwolves in Canada West University basketball. And his brother Abdullah, a member of the Alberta Golden Bears.
And we'll see each other as we get back to more widespread play this year in Canada West, whereas it was more regionalized last year due to COVID. Nice, again, Shitu with the layup, as he has all but one of the points so far for Saskatoon, and we're tied 5-5.
Shitu last season, 12.4 points a game, 7.8 rebounds a game, a 2020 member of the Canada West All-Rookie team. Here is Ostertag. Nice slip by Deciman, as that double team came up and stayed on Ostertag, and that allowed him to find Deciman 6-all now. Ostertag, drive, foul, and the bucket goes, and that's the second time Mooney's been caught under the rim with that foul that sent someone to the line.
Yeah, you said it in the first game. You either got to foul him hard enough so he has no chance of making it as we get a timeout on the court, or you've got to just let him go. And I think on that one, he should have let him go. It's too early, and also with the bonus how big the bonus free throws can be, and Edmonton almost got themselves into trouble with some foul trouble at the end of that game. Should have just let them go, get the point.
And that's, you see veteran teams do that a lot more, where they'll recognize, hey, I'm beat here. I'm going to let you score, but we're going to be ready. We're going to essentially fast break out of this and turn around and find someone open for a good look. And I think the veteran teams understand how to make those calls, lose the battle to win the war kind of mentality. Whereas, as you said too, if you're Mooney, easy for me to say sitting where I am,
right.
but yeah, hammer him as hard as you can to try to make sure that at worst you're just sending him to the line for one.
And he completes it, so Saskatoon with their first and largest lead at 8-6.
James trying to get back, and they do. Denzel James ties it right back, and this is kind of how we thought this game would go. Two teams with a level of chemistry, probably a little more favoring Edmonton, but the way that Saskatoon played in their opener, as Deciman forced to kick that one out to Ostertag. Goes right at Coleman. Rebound by Mooney. He'll dribble it out. Looks inside to Coleman now. Tries to get a screen from Coleman. Kicks it over. Coleman jumper. That's good for two as well.
Didn't see that aspect in the first game. He was all low post. Big shot there for Coleman.
Ryan Coleman played his high school basketball at Jasper Place here in Edmonton. Here's James working on Ostertag. Shot clock winding now. Mooney gets it off and knocks it down. Huge bucket as Edmonton has built a 4-point lead. Just under 6 minutes to go.
And a big bucket on an individual level. Mooney did not score in that first game, and he hits a big one there.
And James with the block of Deciman. James, another one. That would have been massive for Edmonton. And a foul from behind by Mooney. And again, another just with the way the fouls work, once you get into that foul 7, 8, 9, teams are shooting 2. That kind of foul for Mooney is this one you don't really want to take.
No, you don't. I mean, there was no reason he wasn't even about to shoot, and that's their 4th foul already. So 2 more freebies, and then Saskatoon will get some bonus free throws, and even bigger, if you get to that 10, you get the free throws, the 2 free throws, which, by the way, are worth the equal amount as a field goal, a 1-point field goal. This isn't the NBA or college or anything like that where they're worth half it. No, it's worth the same, and you get 2, and then you get the ball back. And we actually saw an almost comeback on the women's side yesterday from that very thing. Germany almost came back off of that exact formula.
Yeah, the fouls definitely play a bit of a different role in games here. Nice rotation by Danifer to steal that ball. Now Danifer puts it up, knocks it down again. 14-8. Edmonton starting to pull away here from Saskatoon. They didn't answer quickly. Deciman can't get it right there for them.
8-0 run. Saskatoon was up 8-6.
Mooney right back into Coleman as they play a 2-man game. Danifer for 2, little strong off the back iron. And here's Deciman working against Mooney. Hard take. Shot won't go well, defended by Mooney. Rebound, Ostertag, and there's they're going to rule that an unsportsmanlike foul for coming down on Deciman. I don't know about that one.
It was a good hard foul. I don't think it was.
To me, I was just about to say, like, if you're Mooney, that's what you want to do. He made sure that shot wasn't going up. And
see the replay there.
Yeah, I'm not a referee, don't have that training, but the referee's saying that he came down with 2 hands as Ostertag was falling to the floor. But we've certainly seen some pretty physical play that has gone uncalled, and I'm not sure that one necessarily warranted more, but doesn't matter. 1 free throw hit by Ostertag, 14-9. Every foul for Edmonton, though, from here on in will send Saskatoon to the line for a pair. James hangs in the air, well defended by Shitu. And a little pat on the back from Denzel James to Shitu after that. 2 players that play a pretty similar style, and I'm sure James recognizes the younger Shitu doing some of the stuff that he's done for years.
Absolutely, and just that little bit of an extra length for Shitu, and he good job not to reach in, because as a shot blocker, it's very tempting to reach that arm down. He just stayed straight up, and that's what forced the adjustment from James, who honestly might have been looking for that foul anyways.
Yep. Ball goes out of bounds as Ostertag can't handle it. Edmonton ball, 4:42 left. 14-9 they lead. A berth in the main draw on the line. Danifer 2 off the left side of the rim. And now Danifer collects it. Tried to pass it out to James. Good hustle by Denzel James to deflect that one away from Ostertag. Steps back for 2.
Ooh.
And a foul away from the ball. That's going to go on Deciman. That'll be Saskatoon's just their 2nd team foul. So it will be Edmonton ball.
And Saskatoon absolutely has to take advantage of that to get back into the game, that foul discrepancy. They got to get to that line and not allow the 2s that are falling easily for Edmonton now.
And another block. Deciman, who had some pretty good looks in that opener against Okotoks, has seen his space collapse around him a lot more. There's another deep lob to Coleman, but a travel.
A little bit better of a pass than before, but still, a little bit too far, and forces him into a traveling violation. Awesome, good defense from Shitu. And maybe that 4th player is helping in Edmonton out at this point.
Yeah, you got to think it's making a little bit of a difference. And just in terms of, as much as the rest it provides, but even just the different looks that it provides a team. Deciman had to alter his shot midair. Shitu for 2. Doesn't drop. Saskatoon will need some stops as they trail by 6 with 3:40 left. Danifer a bit off balance. It goes for 2 and a trip to the line. And Dandifer remains on the floor.
And that's a pretty big dagger in terms of the game, but that would also be a dagger to the hopes of Edmonton later if Dandifer, arguably, well, along with Denzel James, their best outside shooter, looks like he's holding his ankle, as you see on the replay. Hopefully he just took a little bit of a tweak there on the down, but he does not look like he's doing well, and we just hope the best for him.
Yeah, I admit I was not looking at his foot on that replay in terms of when he came down, but he's back on his feet. We'll try to walk it off. Appears to be okay.
He's going to at least try his free throw for this 2-point and one.
And they will take the media timeout first. And Dandifer really gingerly walking on that left ankle.
I think he'll be the trainer's just inside Rogers out of the heat. I'm sure he'll be heading that way immediately following this game, especially if they hold on to this lead and advance to pool play later on. We just hope that Dandifer, you see the replay of his earlier two right there and some of the other highlights, a big block right there for Denzel James. You just hope, that's the one thing you don't want to see here, is you don't want to see injuries. We had a almost flawless, there it is, and you can see him come down kind of hard on that right, or on that left ankle.
And Deciman just was a little off balance on his clothes, and I think, and totally inadvertent, his foot just got underneath Dandifer as he came down, and Dandifer has stepped away as Denzel James will shoot the free throw for Dandifer.
Now we got 3-on-3, no subs.
Now we literally have 3-on-3. Of course, the winner of this game will get a pretty healthy break until later this afternoon, as the pool play for the men doesn't start until after 3:40, if I'm mistaken, or not mistaken.
I'll tell you in a second here as we flip through this massive schedule with the women's championship going on. Yeah, we will start 3:45 p.m. is our first men's pool play, Antwerp versus Saitama from Japan. Antwerp from Belgium.
Antwerp, the number 3 ranked team in the world, with the number 3 ranked player in the world in Thibaut Vervoort.
They're going to be very fun to watch. They've actually won their last 2 events they've been at, and that is difficult to do in 3-on-3, where there's definitely some more peaks and valleys than you would see in a 5-on-5 kind of game.
Denzel James trying to inch Edmonton closer to that main draw. Shitu loses it, but ends up in the hands of Denzel James. Here's Mooney. The one thing with Dandifer is they lose a little bit of that quick release from long range. Mooney's going to have to step in and knock down a few of those himself. Coleman puts the ball on the floor, working against Shitu, spins inside, and Shitu, again, that patience, you mentioned it, Patrick, his ability just to stay down, stay patient, and time that jump.
Yeah, if you don't get him with a shot fake, forget about it. You're not going to score on him down low, especially at this level. Maybe some of the bigger players we see later today can, as Saskatoon hangs around with another bucket. But yeah, he's very long.
James goes baseline, hammers it down. Edmonton 1 point away from getting to the main draw in this Edmonton tournament, as Dandifer will check back into the game. Or not check back into the game, but check back to the bench, I should say.
And Saskatoon continues to hang around, down just 5, but any basket now for Edmonton wins it.
Mooney got that shot off the rim, but Ostertag with the defensive board. Bounce pass trying to find Deciman, who's defended well by James. Mooney all over Deciman. Ostertag with the board, kicks it out. Deciman for 2, doesn't go. Shitu had that rebound and could not rip it down.
That's a big one. They need every possession they can get. It's just the nature of the game. Sometimes you go up a little too hard and we get a timeout on the court here. But yeah, just you got to corral that. Every little thing matters now for Saskatoon, who is quite literally on the ropes in this one, as Edmonton's a point away from advancing to the main draw.
And there, seconds ago, you saw that most recent block by Farid Shitu. Played his high school basketball at Harry Ainley, just south side of the city, same school that the Plouffe twins that you'll see later on today in semifinal action in the women's series. They played at Harry Ainley as well. Harry Ainley, a powerhouse in basketball in this province, winning multiple provincial titles.
Yeah, moving up here from the States, and I start to try to look up the local sports, and I thought Harry Ainley might be the only high school Edmonton had because they were all over it at one point.
Well, at one point, and I don't know if this is still the case, at one point it was the biggest high school in Western Canada with about 2,500 students. I was fortunate enough to coach there a little bit, not with the senior team, but coach some of their up-and-coming players, which was, with that tradition and history, certainly a good place to be as Deciman gets Saskatoon back within 3. And they're staying alive. Here is Shitu.
Oh, this is a huge
Deciman
possession.
Stepped out as he slipped. And you got to wonder, it feels a little more humid today.
It for sure does.
And so you wonder if this floor, and I'm just sort of taking a look at it, that might be playing a bit of a factor as Deciman slipped and ended up stepping out of bounds.
A rubber mat placed on, essentially rubber court placed on top of concrete. So, yeah, that could definitely be a factor.
Coleman off balance, and that shot will not get off. Shitu again alters it.
And you know that's a losing proposition when you got to go up with 1 second on the shot clock and Shitu's in his face. He doesn't even have to think about a shot fake at that point.
Deciman, that would have been huge for Saskatoon had that one gone down. Edmonton just unable to get that basket, and there again, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit here now, is some of that humidity. And with the way, again, the sun right now being behind the Stantec Tower, which if you're looking would just be to the right on your screen, and it won't come back around for probably about another hour or so, and then it'll be blazing down here, assuming the clouds stay away. So that could be a bit of a factor, that floor. And a foul inside on Saskatoon, but they're still safe in terms of sending Edmonton to the line.
Yeah, one more foul to give, and I imagine they will if they need it, because Edmonton can not score if Saskatoon wants to keep their hopes alive.
But time also becoming a factor for Saskatoon. The one thing, they're being 1 point away from a loss. Denzel James, unfortunately for Saskatoon, gives them that loss, but for Team Edmonton, it is huge, and they've got more games to play starting later this afternoon.
Yeah, what a performance there by Denzel James. He kind of disappeared maybe by default in the win over Okotoks in that second half after a hot start, but he was present throughout this. Big dunks, I think 4 twos that I can remember off the top of my head from him in this game. And Denzel James is his play translates to 3-on-3 very well. And he might not have the name recognition of some of these guys we'll see later, but he's going to fit in pretty nicely when he gets to play against Vienna in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting draw. I mean, Edmonton now with a little bit of feel for this court, a little bit of feel for how they want to play as a group. So for them, you have to think that they're going to feel pretty good heading into this afternoon's draw. And we will set that up over the course of the early part of the afternoon. Of course, next up, starting a little bit after noon Mountain Time, it will be the FIBA 3x3 Women's Series semifinals. We will have France taking on X-Wing and Germany taking on Force 10. The winner of the France X-Wing game will take on Canada. The winner of the Germany Force 10 game will take on the United States, who both Canada and the U.S. getting byes to those semifinals. So, Patrick, your final thoughts on this qualifying round before we gear up for a little more women's basketball in about an hour or so.
What a great way to get underway. You get the local flavor here. Players from across the province, from literally Okotoks, almost down at the U.S. border, and all the way up to Grand Prairie, up north in this province. And pretty good show they put on, especially the Edmonton and Saskatoon teams, both very competitive. Especially for being thrown together relatively last minute, these teams, and just a fun atmosphere, fun game to watch. And I can't wait to see Denzel James play up against some of these guys later and see how this game translates against the top of the world.
It will be exciting, and what will be exciting too is the FIBA 3x3 Women's Series knockout round, starting with those quarterfinals I just spoke about moments ago, and the final going a little bit after 3 o'clock Mountain Time. So on behalf of Patrick Erickson, Mark Majot, I'm Doug McLean. We'll be back with the first of the 2 quarterfinals, France and X-Wing, in a little over an hour's time. Thanks for tuning in from here in Ice District Plaza in the heart of downtown Edmonton. We'll talk to you very soon.
Yo, sometimes you have to let certain people know, you know. Can't mix up in that. Can't mix up in their madness, you get me? Yeah, hey. Don't have to call my line. Might as well save your cred. Message me multiple times. You'll get left on red. Why you gotta stand so close? Understand we are not friends. Don't be doing pally. Most of them faking the end. Don't have to call my line. Might as well save your cred. Message me multiple times. You will get left on red. Why you gotta stand so close? Understand we are not friends. Done with doing pally. Most of them faking the end. Yo, don't get it twisted. Say my name can't run with no dimwit. Let me dirty, know you can't fix it. The bad energy's too dark to risk it. Since a teen on you, I'll be a misfit. Couldn't even repair that quick flip. You lot sharing split about big that's mine. Probably at home tea and biscuit. Don't tell the biscuit, you're play victim. But your actors are what made you afflicted. Addicted to begging and beg that you stay far. Don't smile in my face, I greet you like I'm Ray Charles. Hit the road, I'm in it to make bars. Bare family, we not adopt any fake cars. Rather chat business than to make cars. If that's you, when I bit late cars. Sayonara, au revoir. Take your whole career as a part. What's a flow T to an R? Little fish can't put fear in a shop. Wait for my pen when creating an art, and I know how to shine when I'm facing the dark. Basic MCs are a walk in the park, and I still see no bite when I race into bar. I was never faced from the start, riding a wave but we're oceans apart. Speak about peace with there's hate in the heart. Don't want you to win, they're just making a mark. Practice what they preach, I'm not involved. Keep my distance, true colour show. So good at staying involved, but sus them when creating your glow. Don't have to call my line, might as well save your cred. Message me multiple times, you will get left on red. Why you gotta stand so close? Understand we are not friends. Done with doing pally. Most of them faking the end. Don't have to call my line. Might as well save your cred. Message me multiple times. You will get left on red. Why you gotta stand so close? Understand we are not friends. Done with doing pally. Most of them faking the end. What's loyalty nowadays? Is it just a phase for your entertainment? Every week it's a rearrangement. Every chat is a different statement. Heard your tone switch, thought no